I explained that there were 5 ways you lose heat from the body. There are also 5 ways on the body where you lose the heat. And one is your head, that you can lose up to almost 50% of the heat from your body through the top of your head that is always exposed. That's why it's very important to wear a hat. Even a baseball hat like this will retain the heat into your head and not let it escape near as fast. Wool hat, and I always say wool because I love wool because it retains 90% of its warmth value when it is wet, where other clothes lose 90% of their heat value. So the 5 ways are the top of your head, the sides of your neck where the carotid artery runs, underneath the armpits, and down the sides of your chest and to the groin. And I always call this area here your furnace. This is the part that you keep warm. You must have an intake of food and water to maintain your body temperature. If you're out and you don't have food and water, then you start to lose, and your body will, your metabolism will start to go on down, and it just opens the door to hypothermia. So you've got to have a good take. I mentioned earlier that you need to keep your tank half full of liquid, of water or some type of juice, or even fruit that has a lot of moisture in it is very good to have with you and to keep that moisture in your body. Food is very important. We say don't eat when you're out unless you have drink or water with you or some type of liquid with you. It's very important that when you're having food, because your body needs to liquefy it and using all your body fluids there. So it's very important that you have drink with you while you're out there. So you have those 5 ways that you lose heat from the body. Let's go into what happens when we find someone who is in fairly deep hypothermia. One of the main things, you don't let them move. Don't let them move. That is so important. Let me highlight it by a case up in Iceland where one of the trawlers that had 8 people on it, they ran into one of the motherships and it went down and sank within a few minutes. The 8 men, and now I'm talking about crewmen, strong, healthy crewmen that are ready to go, and all 8 of them survived and were picked up immediately by the mothership, but they had to go up the Jacob's ladders and a rope ladder that they put over the side of the ships. So they went there, they went to the galley, and they had hot coffee, and they were still wet, and they put blankets around them and tried to keep them warm, and they all had coffee on it. All 8 persons died, all of them. And they could survive and go up the side of the ship, they could go to the galley, they could have a coffee. Why would they die? When you get hypothermia and you get cold, your body starts to shut down, and it shuts down the blood flow to your arms and to your legs first, because you need the core, you need the furnace, and that keeps it going in the head to your brain. That's where all the warmth goes. So your legs and your arms really, they just kind of shut down and you get ice cold. You grab a hold of a person who's got hypothermia and you take them and it's really ice cold to the touch. Well, what happens is you let them move and your body says, okay, we're moving. I've got to pump the blood now to those areas that are so cold to warm up so they can start manipulating. The arms got to go, the legs got to go. And so your body pumps that warm blood that's been stored in your furnace, and it pumps it to the cold legs and to the cold arms, and that cold blood comes up through the veins and it goes to the heart, and the 4 chambers of the heart can't synchronize, and they get out of synchro, and the heart goes pump, 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 and stops. And they all died of heart attacks because they let them move. I know other cases where people have been pulled out of the water and they take them, and one of the things they do, grab a blanket, you see it all the times in the movies, the person is soaking wet, they pull them out of the lake, they pull them out of the ocean, they pull them out of even swimming pools, and they put a blanket around them. And what have you done? You have now made an ice box out of them. The heat can't get in, the cold can't get out, they're covered with a blanket, and you stare, and you're just so many more times making them into a cold, icy person, and hypothermia sets in. Strip all the clothes off the person. If you're within 15 minutes of a hospital or a place where they can be warmed on up, then transport them immediately, but start stripping the clothes off immediately. Do not let them take the clothes off. If you've ever watched on an ambulance crew, even in accidents where somebody is hurt, they cut the clothes off. They don't want the person moving. Well, here, very much so. You don't want the person struggling and moving and getting those arms and those legs moving to get that cold blood to the heart. So cut the clothes off, cover them with a blanket. If you're out someplace where you can have some type of shelter, you can take the person, and as you take the clothes off, you put a blanket over them, and then you strip the clothes off and keep them covered as much as you can all the time. You never expose the body entirely to the elements. So you got the blanket over them, you take the clothes off, you get them covered up. Then if they're still really cold and you can feel the chest and you feel the sides of the chest there, then you take your clothes off, put another blanket on, and you take your topside clothes off, and you bare your chest to their chest, and you hug them. And it's good for about 10-15 minutes, and then you will start to get cold because you're drawing their heat, your coldness out into your body. And I always say, hug them in tight and give them a good hug there, and you're wrapped up, and just don't let them move, and just keep them up. So you've hugged the person, and you're trying to get them warm. Another way you can do it is if you're on another vessel, it's fairly good size, they have a little galley or something, you got somebody there that fell overboard, or you've picked somebody up from a capsizing and you've got them on board, and that, take some potatoes or apples, put them in the microwave, and you're not trying to cook them dinner, just put them in there, give them a minute or so in there, and then take these warm potatoes that, you know how a baked potato is when it's warm, it don't have to be entirely baked, it retains the heat for a long time. You take those items and you put them underneath the arms here, behind the neck, in the groin, and just warm that body up slowly until the good medical facilities can get there.